Hello there, my name's Ms.RedNebula and welcome back to Planet Zoo Beta. This is a speed build that I did of the exhibit for my African wild dogs. As you can see, what I started with and what I showed in one of the last videos was a set of roofs. I think there's 6 total that comprised what would work for the hard coverage for their exhibit, and that gives you a good idea of how much you're going to need to build on the rocks and stuff. And I usually just leave the thing inside of there because why not? All the building materials and stuff are so cheap. So as you can see, what I'm doing here is just covering the things up with rocks completely, and everything's being done inside of, well, everything should be being done inside of that same building. It looks like I'm kind of popping in and out of it, but it really doesn't matter if you're in the building or not, or rather, in Planet Coaster it would have been building, and they eventually introduced the concept of being able to just group objects whether or not there were building pieces involved in them. When I say building pieces, those are those pieces that are on the grid, and when you put them down they will only snap to a 4x4 or 2x2 grid. And they eventually introduced the idea where you could just group any objects together, and it looks like what they've done in Planet Zoo is just taken that concept and called everything groups, regardless of whether it includes building pieces or not, which I quite like. I mean, just the idea of being able to stick a group of rocks together or a group of rocks with a building or what have you works out really, really well. Mostly using the cladding pieces to put together this shelter for them, which was going to be kind of the main focus of their enclosure. I'm still kind of feeling like I'm getting the hang of how this all works in this game, or rather, the building style is very, very similar to Planet Coaster, so I'm used to that, but it takes a little while to get the hang of what are all the various pieces available in the game to use and all. So I'm putting down some rocks for them to be able to walk over the top of, and as I showed in my tips video, you can see in the heat maps whether or not they're going to be capable of moving across certain surfaces, and then here I'm building a waterfall, because waterfalls are cool. Mostly just a case of piling up rocks, piling up rocks. If you've seen any of my Planet Coaster stuff, I really like piling up rocks. The African wild dogs, they don't climb so much, so there's a couple of places where they can get up on, but not really a lot. Like here you can see I'm checking to see what they're going to be capable of climbing up on and trying to make it so they can get on as many surfaces as possible. Just a little bit of landscaping in there. Isn't probably still the best exhibit, and I'm still like finding my feet a little bit. I did some more work on some additional exhibits after this, and I'm going to make a separate video on those, as I've still been working on the beta zoo and hopefully have not yet been hit with that nasty bug that makes everybody's money go into the negative trillions, which is supposed to have been fixed in this morning's patch. But they did say if you're still having problems with that, to let them know, and also to send them your save file, because that's how they can actually find out what on earth is going on with these saves, right? So if you guys are still having that bug, check on the forums and send your save file to, I believe it's community@frontier.co.uk is the address that they want those to be sent to. And if you do that, that'll help everybody a lot in making sure that once this game is released, it'll be as good as it can possibly be. So got some rocks down. You check back and forth with the critters just to make sure that when you're doing any kind of landscaping inside of their habitat, that you haven't offset. Like if they want a certain amount of long grass or they want a certain amount of rock or soil, that you want to keep that. Sorry, I got distracted looking at the cute puppies. What can I say? Do like the African wild dogs, and they're beautiful species. And something that I realized actually a little bit too late here was that I was placing down trees that were appropriate for Africa, but you have to not only check the appropriateness of where they're coming from, like Africa, but you also have to check and see, like the African wild dogs, for example, I believe they want stuff that is from the savanna biome. And I was putting in stuff that was distinctly not from the savanna biome. It doesn't seem like it upset them all that much, but it's always nice to make sure that you're getting stuff that's correct. Like those, just the little pink plants that I just put down are not actually correct for this habitat. And you'll see that with just a little warning next to the plant name where it just says that this isn't from the appropriate biome, and then you can change it out if you want to. I just made it so it was a little bit prettier on the back end here. And I did end up changing a few more things because every time these guys would have pups, they would end up being unhappy with the amount of space in their habitat again. So, and I put some mist down there in the area right around where they go to have a nap there. So they were pretty happy with that. Or at least they didn't seem to mind it at all. And I think we're coming up on about the end here. So, I hope you enjoyed this. Here's a bit of a look around how it ended up looking, and that's it for this one. Feel free to like or comment, and if you want random updates from my little world of art and gaming, subscribe. If you enjoy what I do and are interested in supporting the channel, check out my Patreon. A big thank you to my current patrons. That's all for now. Bye!